Yeah, so we're talking about politics with today's video. We're back to the political thing. There's no way that I could avoid talking about this because the government that is in place here in Finland is pretty dangerous. They're dangerous because they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're talking about. They have simple solutions for complex problems that are far beyond their level of understanding. And even if they could understand these things, they present to the public that they don't, or that they think about them a certain way because the people who voted for them are largely uneducated. That is true, by the way. I'm not just being insulting. The majority of the Finns party, the hard right-wing party here, Perussuomalaiset, the majority of their voters are uneducated. They are people who lack education, people who are easily led, people who get their information, much like in the U.S. They're basically the crowd of like Americans who get their news from Fox News. You know, those sorts of people. They don't have a high standard when it comes to proof. They don't have a high standard when it comes to evidence, and they don't have a high standard when it comes to the people that they elect, their leaders, being honest. They don't have those standards. So you get people like the interior minister here in Finland, Mari Rantanen. She is a horrible, horrible person. She believes in the great replacement theory. Do a quick read on that. If you absolutely have no idea what the replacement theory is, go do a quick Google on it. And if you're not entirely horrified by it, then you might actually like somebody like Mari Rantanen. She has been tasked with being the secretary, or the interior minister. That secretary is United States. I still think in those terms sometimes. She is a minister of the interior, so she is tasked with finding ways to help reduce crime. And that is pretty important right now because there's a big street gang issue that is kind of wafting its way over from Sweden, and it's on everybody's mind. Everybody's thinking about it. A lot of parents are worried about their own kids falling in with one of these groups. And if you're one of these morons from Perussuomalaiset, from the basic Finns, then you probably think that, oh, well, I don't have to worry about my kids because my kids aren't immigrants. It's only immigrants causing those problems. Just okay. So Mari Rantanen the other day said that she was asked if these cut on some TV program, if these cuts that her party and all the other right-wing morons are making to welfare, if those are going to increase the likelihood that people join street gangs. Increase the incidence of crime, and she said no, it's before we even came into power, crime was on the rise, and ignoring the fact, of course, correlation does not always equal causation. When it comes to these right-wing people, it's very convenient for them to find causality when it's convenient for them, when they know they're wrong, of course, and the economic situation, which absolutely does affect how much crime and how easy it is to sucker people into street gangs, was pretty bad before they took power. It just so happens that they, being right-wing and having no clue what they're doing, are making things worse. And she thinks that all these cuts to Social Security, no, taking more money away from people who are already poor, that's not going to make them decide to go out but what's going to keep them off the street is giving them a job. Just continuing to tout this 100,000 jobs, like as if 100,000 jobs are going to be filled in Finland. Let's be realistic, okay? You're not going to find 100,000 people to fill 100,000 jobs. Not with the way things are going. Not with the way that people are leaving. Not with the way that skilled people are leaving. Not with the way that the birth rate is declining like more and more year over year. You're not going to find 100,000 people to fill those jobs. But this is what she keeps touting. This is what she keeps spewing from her brain dead fucking mouth, that somehow everybody having a job is like the cure to all the problems, and all the welfare programs being cut. Well, they're not going to need them anymore because they have a job. Just the idea of, again, a very simple solution for a very complex problem that they don't understand, or they can't understand. All right. You can give people 100,000 jobs, whatever. You want a job, here's a job, here's a job, here's a job. But if you don't pay them to a level that is equal or greater to what they would have earned if you didn't cut their welfare benefits away and cut their other, all these entitlement programs, the way that prices are rising, the way that inflation keeps going up, and the way that rent prices keep increasing, the cost of living in general is just getting, and that's such a disgusting phrase, by the way, the cost of living. Living shouldn't cost a thing, but it does. But these things keep increasing, and their wages are actually a lot less than what they would be if you hadn't touched the welfare programs. So you think less financial security, less financial stability means less crime? Because parents, that they'll have jobs and they'll be making money, and it's like, no, parents are going to be gone out of their kids' lives even more because they're going to have to work longer, they're going to have to work harder, they're going to have to find second and third jobs. They're not going to be there for their kids. They're going to be poor. Their kids are going to be poor. These street gangs, they go to places like in Sweden, they go to places where people feel like they've been outcast by society or by their government because the government has cut their programs, after school programs, they've cut their education funding, they've cut their welfare entitlements. They can't find shit to do. They can't afford shit to do. So here come the gangs. Here they come, promising them a life, promising them money, promising them a future. And they buy it and they join the gang. What is this right-wing government promising the youth right now? Why don't you go and ask all the students everywhere who are currently basically on strike, protesting this government? What is the government doing for the youth right now? What is this government? What are they doing to help? What are they doing to ensure that kids stay busy with things like education, stay busy with jobs, stay busy with things so that they don't feel enticed to go and join some sort of criminal organization so that they do have some guarantee of a future? Because even the threat of prison, even the threat of jail time, it's like if somebody already has nothing, what do they care about going to jail? They go to jail, they get fed, they get housed, they have a roof over their heads, they've got something. They have something. Mari Rantanen doesn't think about these things because I don't think she can think. I don't think she ever learned how to think. Because if you believe something like the Great Replacement Theory, there's some part of your brain that has been lost to the ages or was just never there to begin with, much like the people who voted for Mari Rantanen and any other perussuomalaiset piece of shit that's in this government right now. Crime is a very complex issue, but it's not one that has ever been it's just unfathomable that is the big plan. Give more funding to the cops, which, yeah, cool, you put more cops in places, turn this into even more of a police state where people feel like they aren't free and they're living in a fucking dystopian hellscape. Okay, fine. It's not like the criminals won't just find somewhere else to conduct their activity where the cops aren't watching. As dumb as people like to think criminals are, we still have criminals today, so they must be doing something right. We still have all these organized gangs, so they must have some brains to keep eluding the police and to keep eluding all of these dumb shit initiatives put forth by right-wing governments. It might help to give people some hope. It might help to stop cutting their welfare. It might help to actually start paying them a living wage. It might help to give them the hope of, if they spend all this time studying rather than being on the street, that all that studying will eventually give them something, give them some kind of future, that it will bear fruit of some sort. Instead of just sitting around and watching their degree collect dust while they pay student loans out the ass. This government is not thinking at all about the long-term consequences of your only plan being just give everybody a job. You're not going to be able to pay people enough to give them that sense of hope and security that they need to maybe not ever have to think about joining organized crime. It's no wonder so many people feel hopeless right now, especially students. because this affects the youth. This everyone's always talking about the youth. How do we help the youth? And these right-wing assholes, they don't have a plan. They don't have a clue. They're only there to serve their rich corporate overlords and make life easier for them. That is a gross simplification, but that is essentially what we have. Because if they did care about students, because if they did care about the working life for people like the people that they say they appreciate, like teachers, then you wouldn't have morons like Rika Pura saying that it's justified to make teachers just go find a McDonald's job. We appreciate you so much, teachers, that not only are we going to cut your benefits so that you starve during the summertime, but we're just going to encourage you go work at McDonald's. This is the government that we have right now. They don't value education, they don't value teachers, they don't value the youth, and then they wonder how people could start going into organized crime and joining gangs. They take away so much from the youth, they take away so much hope. They're stealing hope from future generations, not just the people who are currently screwed from the older generation, but future generations. They are stealing their hope and then wondering why they fall for the promises of organized gangs who come in and offer them the hope that they so poorly failed to deliver them. It's not all the government's fault, but a lot of it is. They could be doing so much more to help these issues. They could be doing so much more to help the people, but they have chosen to only help themselves and the rich. And of course, native Finns. But even then, native Finns are getting screwed left and right. And they're allowing themselves to continue to vote for these stupid motherfuckers because of stuff like immigration. That's the only reason these people continue to become, to get in power, because there's no other reason somebody who is poor would elect somebody who wants to raise their taxes and make them pay more while the rich pay less. There's no other reason. It's that single issue. Immigration, and then they're gonna blame all the crime on immigrants. They're gonna blame all the street gangs on immigrants, just like they blame everything else on immigrants. But they'll never blame themselves. They'll never blame themselves because they're natives. They've been here the whole time, and only they know what's best. You don't really know. You don't know what you're doing, Mari Rantanen, Rika Pura, Petteri Orpo, you spineless, gutless piece of shit. You don't know what you're doing.